Hey, so while I have you here, my book, Fast Times in Palestine, is free on Kindle until Sunday. I'll add the link in the description. That's all I'll say about that for now. But yeah, I watched a video lately in which somebody made the distinction between letting go versus not holding on. And that really resonated with me because letting go seems to be this active thing that you're like doing that's can be difficult or counterintuitive or you don't know how to do it or whatever, right? Um, yeah, so but not holding on is like it implies you're already doing something active and just like stop doing that. And it was empowering because instead of figuring out like, okay, what do I do? It's like, oh, what am I doing that I don't need to do anymore? And last night I thought, what is it that is contracted against joy and ease still in my system? And, I try to just kind of like, why don't I just let joy in? And I could feel that. I could feel that intrinsic joy and ease starting to fill my, apparent body space or my sensation field. It's like, wow, it's right there. I just keep shutting it out. I just keep trying to keep it out because it's like, I guess there's a fear that I'm just going to be a hippy dippy, loopy Pollyanna, blissed out, ineffectual, um, nothing if I allow myself to feel joy and ease. And the clamp kind of comes back, as soon as I put my attention on, ordinary everyday things or thoughts. But it was nice to feel this kind of, because it's like I know the wellspring is there. And when I've been on, when I've worked with ayahuasca, when I've worked with mushrooms, sometimes I can feel my heart so open, my system so open. I just weep with the beauty and wisdom of everyone around me. I can feel it coursing through me. What incredible beings surround me all the time. I mean, the people who are kind of more self-aware, more spiritual, it's so much easier to kind of fall into that space with even when they're not there. Um, but yeah, it just there's a tenderness and there's an awe and there's a joy beyond joy. It's because it's not just like, yay, that's so great. It's like so much deeper than anything we have words for. All the wisdom that humans have managed to gather and share despite everything. all the people who are brave enough to believe in their instincts, their impulses against enormous odds in a culture that has no interest, by and large, in anything that can't be, you know, turned into fame and money or power over. And I was having a discussion with someone based on another video I saw where somebody was talking about how like, oh, she didn't just want like this kind of activist to win because, then as soon as the powers that be find a way, they'll take the power back, and then you're kind of backward. And you can see then we're in a very regressive period right now. Um, and so her solution was some kind of massive communist revolution or something. Which, I mean, we've had communist revolutions. Um, so what is the answer? Is there an answer, or are we just going to be in conflict forever? Or are we just going to keep finding out who dominates whom, and that's just the human condition? Um, and then some people on the margins can have a pretty good time, and everybody else either churns or gets churned under by these laws of the jungle. And there's a petty bourgeois who gets to enjoy relative stability, and it's just how it goes. My thought on that is that, just like with primates, I mean, I guess we are primates, but, there was a story by Robert Sapolsky where um, the biggest primates in a group of baboons, I believe, were killed off because they got all the meat first, but it was bad meat, and they died. And then what was left was people who weren't a bunch of like alpha bros, right? And so they ended up with a culture of kind of reciprocity. And anyone who came and tried to be an alpha bro was basically shunned until they came into line. So if a critical mass of people can find a way to create a reality of reciprocity, because in the past, plenty of cultures did this, but then they were overrun by some other assholes who came and just wiped them out and took their stuff. And that's a lot of human history, sadly enough. Um, but if humanity as a whole could get to a point where we are treating each other decently, sharing what we have, I mean, it might not really be possible. I've been in sort of hippie situations where um, either kind of the most persistent person, wielding a kind of passive aggressive power ends up dominating, or people end up kind of getting sick of the hippy dippy stuff, and um, a couple of guys in the co-op where I lived at Stanford, a couple of guys, good friends, started flirting with like old school misogyny. Like they thought it was cool. They thought it was subversive. I mean, it just might be a species like that. We're not meant to fix it We're not meant to. I mean, obviously, there have been long periods where of relative stability and cooperation, uh, at least over large parts of the world, even if it was sometimes on the backs of other parts of the world. Um, is that the best we can hope for? I don't know. Regardless, probably in my lifetime, there's not going to be some kind of everyone gets what they need and want, and one big Nordic social democracy. Even Nordic countries have their issues. So yeah, it just might be that's what we are. And actually, I learned recently, thanks to Elon Musk, actually, that because I learned many years ago that the sun's going to go red giant in 4.5 5 billion years. So I was like, oh, good, we're only middle aged, like we've got lots of time. Uh, in fact, the sun's luminosity is going to increase in the next half a billion to 1 billion years, such that the oceans are going to evaporate. And when I first heard that, I kind of panicked because it's like, well, we only have about 10% as much time as I thought we did. And then after that came a sense of relief because it's like, oh, this thing's kind of going to go down in flames no matter what we do, in a way. I mean, obviously, half billion years is a long time, a long, long time. Um, Arguably, because they're duking it out now, but arguably there's only been complex life on Earth for, I mean, between half a billion and 2 billion years. But let's say half a billion. Well, I mean, widespread evidence of complex life on Earth. Let's just call it half a billion years ago. Um, so we have that much time again, and our species has only been around for I mean civilization for 10, 20,000 years at most, which is like nothing. So like in that sense, as humans, we have like so many species lifetimes ahead of us, assuming we don't destroy ourselves before then, which is a very real possibility. Mars doesn't really enter into it that much as far as like, let's colonize Mars, that'll help. I mean, I think a much better bet in the next, say, 100 million years is trying not to completely destroy ourselves. Or I should say, next 100 years, because technology is moving so fast that God knows what's even going to happen in 100 years. Um, so yeah, I used to think technology would save us. Then I got more toward thinking that some kind of psycho-political awakening would help. Truth is, I don't know, but it is beautiful and important to be able to embrace the beautiful beings that are in my orbit. And I don't always know how to do that because I have this fear of being overexposed, this fear of being like too much. Um, so I don't want to just go like slobber all over cool people, right? But But when you're in the medicine and you're weeping at some dimension, I don't know, just how incredible people are, so far beyond what even they realize. And then the idea that, I mean, so often with plant medicine, what happens is it cracks something open, or it takes you to a place, and then as soon as the experience is over, then you're back in the place where you started. But maybe that place is there somewhere, and that you can access it when you're sober if you keep doing your work. Um, and of course, there's only one way to find out, because you can have any kind of experience on any kind of substance and imagine that's going to be some kind of spiritual evolution. Maybe it will, maybe it's not, right? Um, like I say, one way to find out. But yeah, it was so beautiful having my heart so open with mushrooms, with ayahuasca, with 5-MeO DMT, with just like in such awe of the spirits, because that's what people seem like, just these incredible spirits. And my rural Okie sensibility still wants to like laugh at at this kind of language. But I mean, whatever. That's an old story. It's not my story. Um, yeah, and the kind of figuring out that I can just kind of stop clenching against joy and ease. Something I'm going to be exploring going forward. Um, I'll let you know how it goes.